Welcome, everyone. Tonight is our ASCA Board of Directors July conference call. On the call tonight, we have Ann, Carol, Denise, Donna, Jan, Jody, Liz, Susan, new directors, Jill and Linda, myself, Rick, and we're waiting on David to join us, so I expect him to be on shortly. But how we do this, if you're new to the meetings, is we have a list of agenda items. We go around and let each director have a comment or discussion regarding this item. And at the end, if there's any action item to be voted on, we will do that at that time. So to start things off for this evening, we have the discussion on the ASCA IRS designation. Did Cynthia join us tonight? Denise, do you know if she was invited or?
Yes, she's invited, and Cal has sent her a communication about joining tonight, and she's supposed to get with her. So I imagine that she's calling Cynthia right now.
Yep, I texted Cynthia right before we went into open session, so we're just waiting for her to join.
Okay, well, we can go ahead and open up a discussion about this and let the board discuss their opinion on this decision. Ann, do you have any comments?
I have read through. I think there are pluses and minuses to switching, and I think once we get a better idea from Cynthia and a better idea of the cost that it involves, although it seems to be pretty much a nominal cost, I certainly have no opposition to it. And so if it works positively for ASCA, especially in the long run, then I'm for it. But I'm not an accountant, so look forward to hearing the details from the experts. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Carol?
So I would be interested in hearing from Cynthia also. I do have a question, which I hope more information would answer, is that right now we could still have a sizable amount of money as a sponsorship in the current, not zoning, the current, our current status. And I kind of, it depends on how much it would cost to do it, and how much time it would take, the effort against what the benefits would be. Because right now, I mean, we could get a sizable amount in our current status, and we haven't even raised that yet. So it's great to look forward and say that we could get more sponsorships, and I'm totally in favor of all the sponsorships we could get. But I will be interested to hear Cynthia's numbers on whether or not this is really cost effective or where we're at right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. I hope you get to feeling better. Donna, you're up.
Yes, I'm looking forward to hearing from Cynthia also, as far as with the benefits of switching. But also, I'm wondering, I understand that to get a higher percentage of our income through sponsorships, but at this point, we still have a lot we could get. And I'm just wondering if that's the reason we haven't gotten any corporate sponsorships. Is it because we need to be a 501(c)(4) instead of a 501(c)(7)? Because at this point, even though we can get more sponsorships, we don't have them. We have not seen them. So but I am very much in favor of whatever sponsorships we can get to help. That would be a good thing.
Thank you, Donna. Denise?
So I've spoken to Cynthia about this many times at length, and you're right, you do need to hear what she says, because it is clearly to our benefit to be a C4 rather than a C7. There's also a question of how the profit percentages from previous sponsorships has been documented and done in our tax returns. And so she's all into that. She can tell you that. But when she talked to the accountant about it, our accountant is only familiar with this C3. That's the only one account that they do right now. But he is researching, I believe is what she said, a C4, and he said that we need to be a C4 because it stops the limitations on any kind of percentages. It's strictly that. And yes, they're not able, I don't believe, to claim it as a tax deduction, but they claim it as a advertising expense or something like that. But it's not. And changing it, Cynthia was saying when she talked to our accountant about it, it seemed to me that it was $1,000 or less to change to that. And so she can fill you in on all the other portions of it. But I think it's definitely what we need to do. And it needs to be done as soon as we can, because we can get more sponsorships right now. But somebody has to go out and ask for it. We were told for years, I've put on national since '92, and every time I've asked about it, and every time the answer is the same: we can't get corporate sponsorships because of limitations of our nonprofit status. So we never even tried to get commercial, or whatever you're gonna call it, major sponsorships. So Cynthia is the one, and I hope that she's going to be on this right away. She should be on it right now. I'll text her and tell her to be sure she calls in. But that's all I have to say, is that this is definitely something that we need to do, and we need to do as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Hopefully, Cynthia will be able to join us here in just a few minutes. Looks like Jan is still trying to get a good connection, so I'll skip Jan just for a minute.
Rick?
Yes.
Cynthia has joined.
Oh, okay, great. Cynthia? Hello, Cynthia?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
Thank you. So could you kind of fill us in on the new IRS designation far as for sponsorships and stuff?
Yes. So first off, if I bore you because I'm telling you things please forgive me, but there's probably 28, 29 different nonprofit categories that people can be in. And ASCA, as you know, is in the 501c7 category. And that category is generally, almost always, reserved for golf courses and Elks Lodges, fraternal organizations that have buildings that members use. And it has a limitation on it that says income, total income, cannot be derived from non-members up to a limit of 35%. So you can derive income up to 35% from non-members. But if you exceed that limit, the 35% limit, you risk with the IRS losing the nonprofit status. And if you lose that status, trying to regain it is time consuming and expensive. So the reason for the limit, just in case people are interested, is that for a while, country clubs were having weddings every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and they were in competition with private for-profit wedding venues, and the wedding venues went to the IRS and said it's not fair to have a for-profit in competition or nonprofits in competition with for-profits. And so the IRS imposed that 35% restriction on 501c7s. The problem that this creates for ASCA, it's not just sponsorship dollars, it's all non-membership dollars. So that would be any income that is derived from advertising sales, from sponsorships of nationals, from any kind of non-member income. So I had put forward a proposal. One option would be that we could create a for-profit corporation to sell merchandise and then pursue sponsorships if we could take advantage of a special carve-out provision that the IRS offered that would allow that sponsorship money to not count towards the 35% limit. And then what I had said is, before I would want to do that or anything really, I want to be able to talk to the attorney to make sure that we could do this within the constraints of legal situation, and then to the CPA to make sure that I would not be doing anything to jeopardize ASCA's 501c7 nonprofit status. And I did have an opportunity to talk to the CPA a few weeks back. And during that conversation, I learned that they currently specialize in the CPA firm that you all have, your new CPA. They specialize in 501c3 true charitable nonprofits. They don't have any 501c7 clients at the moment. And when I asked them the question about the possible carve out of qualified sponsorships not counting towards the 35% limit, they said they would need to spend quite a bit of time and money researching that question. But they suggested, and I strongly agree with their recommendation, that it would be prudent, instead of spending a bunch of money trying to figure out how to fit a square peg into a round hole, i.e. trying to come up with ways to make extra money for a 501c7 organization that doesn't violate or jeopardize that 35% limitation, it would be in ASCA's best interest to convert to a 501c4 status. That is the status that the American Kennel Club has had for many years. That status, the 501c4, does not have any limitation on income from non-members. So there would be no more 35% threshold that one would have to worry about in terms of one's maintaining one's nonprofit status. So if ASCA chooses to do that, the CPA firm, it's a fairly straightforward, simple application process to convert from the 501c7 to a 501c4. The CPA firm had estimated that it might cost up to $1,000, just their time to submit the application and then answer any questions that the IRS might have if they had any, which they may or may not. So that led to my suggestion that we make that conversion and then pursue sponsorships as well as merchandise sales, which is not something that we have talked about. I have talked much about with any of the board members, really, although a small amount. If ASCA converts to a 501c4, then it would be possible to go ahead with both pursue sponsorships, which I have not been pursuing. So I have made no contacts in the sponsorship arena. I have made no contacts on sponsorships because I wanted an answer to the question of maintaining ASCA's 501c7 status. I don't want to do anything to jeopardize the nonprofit status that ASCA already has, or the question of converting. So that and merchandise sales. And so if the board does choose to proceed with the switch from the 501c7 to the 501c4, then I am interested and have demonstrated, I think, my interest with the GoFundMe that raised some money for ASCA. in pursuing sponsorships, and I have quite a few ideas about how to do that, how to go about doing that, as well as pursuing merchandise sales, not merchandise sales where ASCA would be having a big warehouse and trying to fulfill its own orders, but merchandise sales which are handled by direct ship. In other words, possibly in combination with a sponsorship offering. On ASCA's website would be a place that people could click on a link to order various and sundry items of merchandise, but that would take them to the ASCA already does this to some extent. So I was pleased to know that ASCA has experience with the direct ship model, but would take them to the advertiser's website. People would place their order, the manufacturing company or the company handling the transaction would process the order, they would ship it. So there wouldn't be any burden on the ASCA office or the ASCA staff, because ASCA staff, I don't believe, needs any further burdens on their plate. So setting up merchandising opportunities in conjunction with sponsorship opportunities and using a direct ship model, so there's no burden on the ASCA business office, would be a way of making money off of both sponsorships and merchandise sales. And so that's kind of where the thinking, without any limitation of 35%. That's where my thinking currently is. And that was what triggered my last proposal to the board, which I think was sent about a month ago or thereabouts. And I would welcome any questions that you all might want to ask me, since I'm now here.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. For me, this is much more information than I think I had before. Maybe you stated it in your last proposal, but I think hearing it come out of your mouth and hearing your enthusiasm about it kind of builds a fire under me, and I think maybe this is the direction we need to go, but that's just my opinion. So I'm going to start going around with the directors. Anne, I know you already spoke before Cynthia got on the call, but you may have some other questions now.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I appreciate what Cynthia has done and her opinion on this being a positive step. And so I certainly look forward to working with her and working with the other board members if we do decide to go forward with this, which I would be in favor of. So I'm excited to see what different possibilities it could bring and how many different ASCA merchandise I could order. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Anne. Carol, do you have any additional comments?
No, I don't have any additional comments. I think I'm good. I'm still not sure. I mean, it seems like the right thing to do, but in light of the fact that we have a high percentage of sponsorship money available right now, I still, do we have a cost for this? I guess that would be a question. Do we have a cost of what it would cost us to change it?
The CPA had estimated up to $1,000, no more than $1,000. And that cost is based on their time to file with the IRS to make the conversion. And then kind of in case there were questions that the IRS had, to be able to answer those. But they didn't see this as a very expensive proposition.
Thank you. That does not seem like a lot. So because that seems like a reasonable amount for the amount of work. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Carol. Donna?
Yes, I have a couple questions for Cynthia. Are there any negatives? Would there be any negative or drawbacks to doing this? Anything that, because Denise said there were, or somebody, I think it was Denise, said that there were some drawbacks and some positives. So what would be any drawbacks to making this switch?
I can't envision any drawbacks, and I especially can't since the American Kennel Club is in that status. So if the largest dog registry in the United States has selected that status, I would think it would be extremely safe. And then that was another thing that the CPAs, when we talked, had said, that really weighs in favor of the IRS granting this without really any question, because they've already granted it. So I can't imagine any drawbacks at all.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense that it would be a logical thing for them to do since AKC has it. And so you said you would be willing then to pursue sponsorships for us? You're willing to take that on? And do you think we would be able to get corporate sponsorships? Do you think that is a possibility?
Yeah, yes, I think that back when ASCA approached, I talked with ASCA about fundraising, and I said that I would raise money, and we did. We raised about $150,000 or maybe a little more. I was enthused about that, even though I think most people think fundraising is, like pulling teeth or visiting the dentist. But I'm very enthused about pursuing sponsorships because I think there is a huge opportunity that ASCA has not tapped. And to give you a few examples, large company, UMove, it's a dog joint supplement company. They have partnered with the AKC. If you go on the AKC website, you will see, all of the promotion that AKC is doing with UMove. And primarily, UMove is a company that is located in Europe that is trying to make an entry or is making an entry into the United States. And they have primarily focused on agility as a, focus for their sponsorships, because those are active dogs. Well, I'm enthused about pitching UMove, and I have some opportunities to be able to get in the door a little easier than the average person might. But on the stock dog, these stock dogs are heavy working dogs. What better breed or what better organization than ASCA to be able to deliver a whole genre of really active working dogs for this joint supplement. So that's just one of my many ideas about sponsorships. There have been, over the course of this time, a number of people that have contacted me as a result of the fundraising that are interested in helping ASCA and have volunteered to be on a sponsorship committee. I see opportunities with animal health insurance, or vet insurance. I see opportunities with the fresh dog food industry, which is really, there are many avenues that are trying to make inroads. And if we construct this right, and we aren't limited by the 35% rule, and we can go ahead and package up advertising and maybe merchandise sales, I think that yes, there's a lot of opportunities that we have and that we could be pursuing. And yes, I would be interested and willing to do this on a volunteer basis. I know that there was a previous sponsorship committee, and I know that committee eventually, I think, kind of didn't make progress and disbanded. And that just makes me all the more determined to prove that it can happen.
All right, those are great ideas. Thank you for answering my questions, and thank you for all the work you have done so far to help us with the GoFundMe and everything. We really appreciate all of your hard work, Cynthia.
Thank you. I love ASCA, and I want to do whatever I can to help the organization, not just, get through this, but thrive.
Well, that's our goal too. So we appreciate your help. That's all I have, Rick.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Denise?
Well, for one thing, I don't think that it was me that said that there were any drawbacks to the 501c4 versus the other, because I've been in total support of it with Cynthia. She just, as you can tell, she's very enthusiastic and energetic and experienced with this sort of thing. And I mean, she has things always thinking about new ways to do stuff. So I think it's just nothing but positive to go ahead as soon as possible to get this started. And we're not talking about sponsorships for just right now, but for our future and years to come, and building ASCA's finances back up and being able to offer our members quality products and quality events that we don't have to scrimp and save for. So I'm in 100%. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Jan, are you with us?
I don't know. Tell me, did I find a better connection? Am I cutting out?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. Sorry. I think everyone has asked all the questions that I had. The only additional question, are we going to be doing this change in Texas, in Washington? At one point you talked about Maryland, that was easier. Where are we doing this at? Do you know?
Yeah. So this is with the Internal Revenue Service. So it's federal. So it is a filing with the IRS. So that has no federal or state component to it. I mean, it has a federal component, I'm sorry, not a state component. When I was talking about developing a for-profit corporation to sell merchandise, if we could find a way to get the money from the for-profit corporation into ASCA, that's where we were talking about. Maryland is a very cheap state for companies to incorporate in, but I had checked with your attorney and he had said that he would have preferred it to be in Texas, and that would have been fine. But since we were unable to find the way to stay within that 35% rule and funnel money from a for-profit corporation into ASCA as it's currently constructed, and if you make this change, a for-profit corporation wouldn't be needed for merchandise sales. We aren't going to be incorporating anything anywhere in any state.
That's the only additional question I have, and thanks for all your hard work for us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Jody?
Thanks, Cynthia, for the information. I don't have any additional questions. I'm all for pursuing this change and hope we can move forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Jody. Liz?
Yes, thank you, Rick. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you for everything you've done. I guess my only question here, just to make sure, AKC, of course, has a different model than ASCA. ASCA is a membership-driven organization, whereas AKC is not. Do you foresee any problems in getting sponsorships because of that? Or and do you foresee any problems in terms of our present way of doing things and the way that we are structured with the 401c4?
If you convert to a 501c4, I don't see large problems obtaining sponsors. First off, I understand that ASCA is a much more member-oriented organization than AKC, and I think that's awesome. I've been a member for quite a while now, and I like that aspect of ASCA. If anything, it might present a few challenges if sponsors wish to explore why one breed, and to be able to focus on a couple of things. First off, a general ASCA sponsorship, ASCA does have, allows, and was, as I understand it, one of the first organizations to allow all breeds to participate in agility and obedience and rally and various stock dog programs and whatnot. So that would be one way to dispel that question. But I don't really see a lot of drawbacks to pursuing sponsors. I think sponsors are in it for what is going to be in their best interest. And so if we tailor our sponsorship proposals to their needs, we should have a winning solution.
Okay, thank you. That's the only other question that I had. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. Susan?
Cynthia, thank you for your determination and your enthusiasm. I am really excited to see what this will bring, if we can go ahead and get this taken care of. And I'm especially appreciative of the direct ship method of the merchandise sales, and that it will not put any additional burden on the office staff. So I think this is a win-win. I'm excited to see what we might be able to bring in and to help replenish our coffers. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Susan. Jillian, do you have any comments? Jillian, are you with us? Are you on mute? Okay, we'll skip Jillian. And Linda, any comments?
Yeah, I just want to say that when I first thought about running for the board, these are things that I thought of changing the 501c status and the direct ship marketing. So I'm glad somebody's pursuing ways to do that. So thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay, did David ever join us? Okay, Jillian, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm sorry, you guys. I am in someone else's RV and I am a little bit technically deficient tonight. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I am so excited you started with this topic. First, thanks, Cynthia, for the definition of the 501c7, which is our current status. It is surprising to me. I would love someday to find out the history behind why ASCA is structured this way, but that's for another meeting. I am 100% in favor of restructuring or refiling. My question I have a couple of questions. I'll just ask them. And in the interest of time, you can just answer them all together. So I understand that there's up to $1,000 estimated for the CPA's time in doing the filing and answering any questions from the IRS. Is there any additional fee to file? Sometimes there's a filing fee. So that's one question. Number two, you talked about being willing to head up the sponsorship task force and alluded to some other folks. I have obviously, you guys, if you're unaware, I am a retailer. I have my fingers in many, many pots, and like Cynthia, I think I have, through some relationships, people that would be willing to become marketing alliances with ASCA if structured properly. So on the task force, I would be interested to know if there would be a need for a director to be involved in that. If so, I would like to be considered. The next question is, what would be the time frame for deployment, and what would the needs be from the board in that endeavor and or the task force? Let me see. I've been listing my questions. Let me make sure I've got everything else in here. I guess finally, I want to make a comment on the notion that ASCA and AKC are structured differently. From my perspective, that is actually a benefit, because when the members, sort of like, I don't know if you guys, we're all from different states. I don't know if you have REI where you live, but it is a member-based company where you can go in and buy, say, sporting apparel and supplies for hiking and this, that, and the other. If you're a member, you get benefits. So what the for-profit status allows is for people besides the membership to purchase merchandise. But there could be membership benefits associated in those sales. I think if, as Cynthia said, if we tailor the retail offerings to the ASCA-based membership, while a lot of things that we can sell can cross over into other breeds, I think you're going to find that your members are going to be more inclined to purchase them. And to add on to it, I have lots of ideas on how to offer the membership things that might be specific to ASCA as opposed to just the general. So that's all I have to say, but I'd love to hear Cynthia's reply to some of those questions.
Okay, so I think that you asked about the cost and was there an additional fee from the IRS for filing? And I did not ask the CPAs that, but if there was, my experience, including recent IRS filings, is that the filing fees are $50 or less. So I'm not expecting that if there was an additional cost that it would be exorbitant for filing, for changing the status. I don't believe there is a cost. I believe it is a simple, there is a change of nonprofit status form that is filled out and filed. And I think that's all there is to it. But if there was anything, it would be nominal from the IRS. You asked, I believe, about deployment time, and the CPAs thought it might take the IRS about 4 months to make a decision on the change. And during that 4 months, what I would hope to be doing is getting the committee up and going and having proposals so that we would be able to have sponsorship proposals for the board to approve so that we could hit the deck running shortly after the change was approved by the IRS as possible. I would welcome having you, for instance, Jill, would be an awesome addition, and hopefully anybody from the board that would want to serve on any kind of committee like this. I would hope that we could create a very enthusiastic and collegial working group that would be able to get a lot done. Because personally, I think there are a fair number of ASCA members with significant contacts, and some of them aren't familiar or they haven't been asked. And I think that's a big part of getting anything to be successful is the initial ask, whether it's of members to bring forward their contacts or of organizations to partner with. So I think that, and Jill, did I miss a question in there?
Well, I'd have to go back to my list now, wouldn't I? I mean, I think that's basically, I think we're on the same page on this. I don't know, maybe for conversation purposes, can you give the board an example of, so I want to make sure that everybody understands the difference between the, in the word sponsorship. Okay, we understand what corporate sponsorship means, but I think a lot of people make the assumption that equals cash. It doesn't always equal cash. It's a marketing alliance is, I've got this thing that I want to sell, and I think you can bring it to the forefront of your membership if I partner with you. So could you maybe use an example, like obviously AKC has Trupanion, right? But maybe you can give them a couple of tangible examples so everybody understands what it is we're talking about when we say merchandise versus corporate sponsorship.
So I'll start with the corporate sponsorship, and I will go back to my example of YouMove. It's YUMOVE. If anybody wants to Google YouMove, you will find, and or YouMove and AKC, you will find a lot of information because they have been extremely aggressive over the past 18 months. In YouMove's case, they have given the AKC a large chunk of money. They have a link on the AKC website where you can use an AKC promo code and click on the link, go to their website and purchase their product. They have paid for ambassadors to represent the AKC and YouMove at all of the major AKC events. So their regional competitions and their national agility finals. You can see they put up their banners, They have spokespeople handing out sample products and so on and so forth. So AKC put a sort of a quantifiable value on all of that publicity, and the UMove gave them a large cash grant that AKC can use however they want. I want to qualify this. These kinds of arrangements, yes, there's no 35% threshold maximum cap on income, but these kinds of arrangements can be taxable for ASCA. So ASCA would perhaps have to pay tax on advertising income or any tangible thing that it gives a sponsor in return. So that's not really a big deal in my mind, because the current corporate tax rate is 15%, which is pretty low. And then there's still ways to shelter income. So, but for a nonprofit of any size, they just need to know that there's a nominal taxable consequence to some of these transactions. A marketing alliance, such as what Jill is talking about, is that you form an alliance. There maybe is no exchange of cash, but that particular product or range of goods that the marketer wants to sell is at the forefront. It's given visibility, it's given the weight of the organization behind it. They are invited to be at events such as nationals to be able to distribute their products, promote their products, and so on and so forth. That is another form of sponsorship, all of which would be the kinds of things that we would want to develop with the committee, get the board to approve what our offerings would be, and then go hit the market. So yes, Jill is right. There isn't always going to be large amounts of cash up front, but in a marketing alliance, the organization gets a percentage of maybe the sales or a percentage of whatever the agreement is. And so in that fashion, the organization gets passive income that it does not have to do anything for necessarily, or doesn't have to do a lot for. And that passive income can be, very beneficial. The whole point of whether it's a marketing alliance source of income, or whether it is sponsorship dollars in the door and corporate sponsorship kinds of dollars, which are not attached to classes or awards or specific things, but the organization overall, all of that is how I would be proposing that we would be rebuilding ASCA's coffers financially.
One more question, then I will be quiet. I promise. I'm sorry, you guys, this is your first introduction to me, and I have a lot of questions. Merchandising on the website, how do you foresee, since we are currently struggling with the website, how do you foresee, is this going to be a secondary website? I'm not so worried about fulfillment right now, because I myself could probably participate in helping the fulfillment of the orders. If they're if they're direct sales versus indirect sales. But how can you explain how you envision web sales?
Yes, primarily what I would envision is a separate page to the website. And if there needed to be technological expertise, because I know at the current moment, ASCA's technological capabilities is stretched to the limit and probably could not take even one more straw without breaking. But so I'm thinking there may be ways to be able to provide, but I would envision a page. It would be an ASCA sponsors and partners page, or something to that effect. And on that page would be the logos and the links to the various sponsors. And if we were selling merchandise for a given sponsor, take UMove as an example, they sell joint supplements. And so if somebody wanted to purchase joint supplements, they would click on the link for the joint supplement. It would take them to the UMove website at that point, off of ASCA's website. The person would enter in their payment information. The payment would go through the UMove payment portal. UMove would ship the product, and ASCA would then get a percentage of the sales that were made from referrals off of the ASCA website. That's how I envision that working, at least initially. So I would envision a fairly simple page off of the current ASCA website that could be developed not, fairly inexpensively and not at ASCA's expense. But that would allow us to be able to start promoting sponsorship packages, would allow us to be able to start the merchandising process, with sponsors and partners that we might get going in the short next period of time.
Awesome. Thank you for answering all my questions.
This is Liz. Can I make a comment real quick, Rick?
Go ahead. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that the portal is what we have troubles with. The ASCA website itself, which is managed by Heidi, is not having problems. So doing a page like that would probably be just fine. It was just be a matter of having Heidi and Fran get into it and prepare the page or whatever, because they're the experts of the website. I just want to make sure that was clear. Thanks.
Thanks, Liz. And that's a good point. And I was going to mention that I really don't see any issues with Heidi or Frank building that page and having just an additional link for ASCA members to go to view those partners of ASCA. So to me, I don't see that as an issue. Cynthia, I'd just like to give my gratitude as well for everything you've done. As you jumped into the sponsorship with the GoFundMe in working with Heidi, I have no doubt that you will jump feet first into this project, and I am totally in agreement, and I feel like the board is in agreement. So we just need to come together as a board as soon as possible and pass a motion, and let's get this ball rolling. I 100% confident in your abilities, and I appreciate everything you've done. So thank you.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate it.
Is there any other director have a final comment for Cynthia?
Can we make a motion tonight to proceed with this?
Sure, anybody can make a motion in a second, and the board will have to act on it.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we proceed with changing our status from a 501c7 to a 501c4, and that under the guidance of Cynthia Downing and our CPA.
This is Carol. I would second that.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to change ASCA's nonprofit status from a 501c7 to a 501c4 with the guidance of Cynthia and ASCA's current accountant. Carol seconds. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Cynthia, congratulations. We'll get the ball rolling on our end.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Appreciate it.
Okay, that was a great topic, and I think we're going to see some much needed relief from this. So next on the agenda is the June 2023 Treasury's report. Jan?
Okay, if you guys want to open up the June quarter. The beginning balance is 78,285 and 61 cents, and the ending balance is 54,685 and 12 cents. I didn't notice any major discrepancies, and I'm sure Susan will help me with any additional questions that some of the new members may have. I'm kind of on not the best technology where I'm at, so I'm hoping I can see and view and help explain everything for everyone. The dues are slightly down since the technology committee has started figuring out how to make all that work. I think that is going to help, and I believe we've had some discussion, but we need to move forward and notify membership that they have lapsed. We may get a little better hit since the elections, because I have seen several comments of people who didn't realize that their membership had gone. That is why they did not receive their ballot. Sorry about that. The programs is still very strong. If you go down through the list, some of the other things are still lower than we'd like to see, but our expenses are beginning to show. We still have Aussie Times printing, so we still have not gotten any benefit for the stop of printing because it's 2 months behind. I believe we will see that difference next month, and Susan can verify that. So that is that sheet in a nutshell. If you move over to the finals fees, this document does not show the actual amount of money. It does now show how much is in the savings is the amount on the 2023 total line. And I believe I received this documentation before. Yeah, dock jumping is in this. If you see that amount for dock jumping, that was moved into, I believe, the general fund. And dock jumping will not be paying the portion of the finals fee since they do not have a dock jumping finals. So that number's a little bit less, but I believe it's just like that $63. And hopefully Susan can verify that because I don't have all my pages open. And Susan always does a better job of explaining this documentation, but you can compare to previous years. And one portion of it does it by the year, and one portion, the first page, I think it's the first page. No, the first page is by the year, but if you look at the second page, it's by the finals year. So you can get an idea of both sections. I believe that's all I have for evening. I always appreciate if you have questions about the treasurer's report, that I am able to get those answers for you ahead of time. Oh, there is also the foundation. I'm sorry, forgot it was in here since it's the second quarter. The foundation is in here. And again, for some of the new people, it's a little confusing because it has the whole history of the foundation. So that's not the total amount that's in these accounts are being used is in the boxed area. And so this sheet can be a little confusing to look at. So that's all I have for you. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Jan.
Jan, do you want to talk about the Guarantee Bank? It got dropped in there today. Do you want to address that?
I did not see it. Would you like to do it? Because I did not pull that up and I did not find it. I'm sorry.
Looks like it just
I did
disappeared
ask
on me.
for the
No,
loan.
it's okay. Yes. So.
It's in the folder for the next topic.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
The loan
I was like,
remainder.
what's this right here? Okay, okay. Sorry, I'm not gonna, I'll wait and you can ask me then if you need to. Thanks.
Okay,
Oh,
let's,
and I do want to say there was a mistake. The final fee for that 6350 or 62, I thought it was 6250, 6350. It did not go into the general fund. I refunded that to that club. They do not, that is not a finals activity. We do not have a finals for docs. Consequently, it is not, in my opinion, fair or right to collect those funds that should be additional event membership dues for an event that doesn't have finals. That check went back to that club. I think they probably appreciated it, and we've made a correction on that gross receipts report now, so that any doc jumping gross receipts reports will not have a line for additional event membership dues. Thanks.
okay, thank you, Susan. Anybody have any questions for Jan regarding the Treasury report?
This is Linda. I have a question. The accounts payable report.
yes.
That looks like it's just the list of payments more so than the bills that have not been paid.
Sarah was out of the office, and I did request, what's it called, the bill pay. And I did not see that. It could have been in my mail today. I have not been through all my email today. I was trying to make sure I got through all the board information. But my understanding, Susan is paying everything on a, as a receipt and approval of us basis.
Exactly right. There are currently no outstanding bills that I have received statements for. So I have nothing in my folder to be sent out or to be paid. So there is nothing, Linda, on there. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give me a buzz when I've got the whole thing in front of me at the office. But
Okay.
no, we have no outstanding bills as of today. And that's not going to say there won't be something that comes in tomorrow. And the recurring bill that we do have right now is an every week payment to the temp agency that we have one employee through. So that is a recurring weekly statement that is paid every week as well.
Okay, thanks. I was just wondering how it had a negative balance. So that takes care of it. Thanks.
Thank you for your question, Linda. Anybody else have a question for Jan? Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the Treasury report.
This is Donna. I move to accept the treasurer's report as reported by Jan.
This is Ann. I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Donna and a second by Ann to approve the June 2023 Treasury's report. Any comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Prepare the report. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Moving on to item number 4 is the loan reminder for Guarantee Bank. We have kind of pushed this topic to each month's board meeting to decide if we want to just leave it in the Guarantee Bank account right now, or do we want to do something with that remaining balance? I believe there's 26,000 currently in the account. Before the loan, we have to leave $10,000 in that account. So we do have 16,000 that we have the ability to move around, to use, to pay back on the loan, et cetera. So I guess I'll go around right quick and see if there's any changes in the board's opinion on what to do with this extra money. I know that the past 2 to 3 months, the board has decided to just let it ride, let it sit in the bank in case we need this extra money down the road. But at any time we can do whatever the board wishes with that money. So Ann, any comment on the balance in the guarantee account?
I do know that for the past few months, and I'm sure Susan will comment to this, that we have paid extra, far more than the minimum balance. And so that is my, one of my priorities with this is to make sure that we are paying above and beyond the minimum amount to get it paid off sooner. And I know that we have done that. I do think that $16,000, if in the next few months we only quote unquote have enough for the minimum payment, I would not be opposed to using some of that 16,000. I mean, like minimal 500, 1,000 something. But I think for the most part, we should wait until end of the year national stuff to see. And then once we have that, start taking bigger chunks of that, whatever remaining 16,000 and putting it towards paying back the loan. That is my opinion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Carol, any comments?
Yeah, I believe that we should just let it ride, and it because we are making more than our minimum payment. So I think just for a rainy day fund, in case something were to come up, it would be good to have that money sitting there as long as we're making our other payments. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Donna?
Yes, I'm sure once we get to Susan, she'll let us know how much over, above and beyond that we have paid. I know it is quite a bit. And I would like to, for now, just to sit on it till we start realizing some of the income from, not income, but the changes that we've made, the expenses that we have cut. I know in the next couple months, we're going to kind of start seeing things change a little bit and realizing our checking account will start increasing a little bit due to those cuts that we have made. And so I would say go ahead and hang on to it till we start seeing those.
Thank you, Donna. Denise?
Yeah, I agree. We've always made it a point to make more than our regular loan payment. And I think with some of the things that we've eliminated, such as the storage payment, the monthly storage payment, even though it's going to cost some to get the things out of there, that eventually will be money that if it could be directed back to the loan also, so that our payment could be increased even more. So I think that I think we need to still use caution and maintain some money on the side that in case there is a shortage somehow, we've got a little bit of a background and a little nest egg. So I would leave it as it is, and as Ann said, review it at the end of the year after nationals when things are all finalized for the year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Denise. Jan?
If you view in the Dropbox, you can see what has been paid. And it has been over the payment in the last couple months. And that has come from membership input. So if we want to start designating more, we would need to make that decision here besides the donations that have come in. Interest in moving the money that is sitting in that bank account, I would feel much better when we start seeing our balances up over 100,000 again, so that we know we have a little more buffer in the checking account and continually paying it down. But we need to consider that we make sure we have buffers in that account. So I'm not in favor of paying off the loan with that money. It has to do with the funds that we have available. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Jody?
My first comment is that I ran some numbers to get this paid off in 5 years. It's going to take a monthly payment of about $2,400. I know we've paid extra over several months, but do we have working capital in our monthly income and budget to simply make a $2,400 payment? And if so, then great, we can do that. And if anything extra comes in, we can pay it off faster. But if not, then we've already got that in the budget. We're paying it off. We know it's going to be paid off in 5 years. I like leaving the 16,000 in there, but if we don't have the working budget, maybe we can use part of the 16,000 to make that monthly payment of 2,400. And then my other comment was, if donations come in from people and they don't designate it, are we automatically using it to pay off the loan? And if they designate it for the computer system, are we using that to pay off the loan because it paid for some of the computer system? Or are we creating a bucket of income to help pay off the computer system and this is separate? So those are my questions and comments.
Thank you, Jody. If a member gives a donation towards the computer project, every dime of that money has gone towards paying off the computer project. We have not utilized any sponsorship donations for the computer for any other project within ASCA. Every single penny has gone towards that computer project. That has slowed down immensely as far as donations for that project. We get a $50, for example, and I'll just throw it out there. Ann DeShant, every month, I think she has a bill pay that she sends ASCA $50. Thank you, Ann, for making your effort to help. And but that $50 goes towards the computer project, and that's where some of the extra money over and above our minimum payment comes from.
So my question, Rick, is why aren't we creating a pool to use for future computer instead of using it to pay off the loan, when I think our accounts billing and payable and income can cover that extra $1,500 to stay on track with the loan, so that we can create a balance to use, because we are going to need future computer help.
I agree, and I think that's something the board can make a decision with your expertise, Jill's expertise, Jan, the treasurer. This would be a great little project to put together to have that other little bucket start building for us. I would welcome your input and a group of you guys putting this together, and let's start looking at that. And the board can make a motion to start redirecting these little sponsorships or little contributions into that other bucket. Because right now,
Okay.
I feel confident with our ability to make that $2,400 a month payment.
I do too. Okay. Okay, that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, hope I answered that okay for you. Liz?
Yes, I don't have anything to add. I pretty much agree with everybody. If we have, the money to make that $2,500 payment, then we'll do that. And then, like you said, and like Jody said, just go ahead and get some of that new bucket figured out, and just leave the 16,000 for now where it is. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Liz. Susan?
So I agree. I still want to let that 16,000 ride. I feel like we're in pretty good shape. I'm seeing numbers that we haven't seen in quite a while, and you and Jan know that I'm in communication almost every other day with where we are, and hey guys, this one's going to hit, and I'm projecting every single day, and I'm in there in that account looking to see where we are, what are we going to be able to do. I feel like we're on a whole lot more solid footing today than we have been in quite a while, even though I know fully well of that balance that's sitting there, that we have our final entry fees that are coming in and comprising a part of that. But even keeping that in mind, we are still in a better, more solid situation than we have been in a long time. And part of that's because we're not paying a manager's salary currently. We're going to see a net of about $700, maybe $800, between 7 and 8. I'm not doing specific figures. When we get everything out of the current storage into our newly arranged storage bin, yes, there's going to be a few costs associated with getting that moved, but nothing to the effect of what we've been paying them on a monthly basis for years and years. We're going to see, it's not yet, because if we look at that accounts payable, we'll see that I just paid the Jackson Group and Baugh Printing, and that would have been for the May issue of the Aussie Times. So those amounts are not going to be withdrawn for the next few foreseeable months until we get our feet back on the ground where we feel like we need them to be. And we determined that it's time to go ahead and begin some sort of publication with that. So things are looking better. It's hard to probably see it quite yet, but it's that anticipation of knowing what's coming and knowing that we've taken steps in the right direction, in my opinion, to definitely feel confident and comfortable that we can make that $2,500 a month payment to pay off this loan within the 5 years. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Jill, any comments?
I think I think it would be premature of me to comment on what to do with the money sitting in the $16,000. I don't currently feel like I am educated enough to speak on that. I have some thoughts, but it sounds like you have a consensus already, and I'm not yet a voting member. I would say that if the goal is, you guys have, it sounds like you have the repayment well in hand, and I love hearing the fact that your goal is to early pay. My goal would be to even better that in the months or years to come. I'm sure everybody echoes that sentiment. I'd love to see us double and triple the $2,400 payment, but that will work to that end. What I would say is, if the goal or the concept is to create a second bucket, quote unquote second bucket, the new bucket being pooling money together to work on future computer endeavors. I would say, however you're collecting the money now, we just need to make sure that we're completely open and honest with the membership if there's going to be any change of delegation of funds. So I want to make sure that if someone's paying through the website or some other means, that they understand if there should be a change to come, then we need to properly communicate that. And secondly, this is coming off of something that I read, Denise's comment to a question that I had regarding the nationals budget. And she made mention of we should be looking at ways of, obtaining additional sponsorships like hay and things of that nature. I would think that this national might be a good opportunity to look at the many raffles that we do. Maybe that is where you can begin the new bucket. I know that people there's donating money for a cause, but people it grows tiresome after a while when you're just giving money. The raffles, people dig that because they get something out of it, or they have a chance of getting something out of it. So that might be a good opportunity for us to start this new bucket. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Linda, any comments?
No, I agree with everybody.
Okay, thank you. I agree as well. I think we're probably 2 or 3 months away from actually realizing some of the cuts that we've made. The operating account is sitting at around $93,000 right now. But keep in mind, 26,000 of finals funds are sitting in that account. So it looks it's a little inflated, and that will be coming out. We have a $5,000 accountant bill for the audit that needs to be paid. So that needs to come out of the operating account. This one kind of burns a little bit when I say it, is we just got a statement for $6,000 for election trust. I hope that we can hold off on that and we can get some more information. It just gives me heartburn to know that a lot, or maybe even most, of our European members did not receive a ballot, and we have another invoice of $6,000 that need to be paid to those guys. I have issues with that. We prepaid $4,000 for that already. So we're looking at $10,000 plus for the election trust. Did somebody have a comment?
Yeah. Rick, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just, at the beginning of the meeting, I took a phone call from the general manager at the election trust, and I'm calling him back tomorrow.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'm glad we were.
It
Yeah.
came up. So
Yeah, I'm glad we were
know.
able to get in contact with them, and I hope that they're willing to make some allowances, because that just really gives me heartburn. And then also, we are close to moving all of our files that we have in Iron Mountain to a local storage, climate controlled storage, basically across the street from the ASCA office. That's going to be some money that's going to come out of the operating account, because we're going to have to hire some movers in a truck to get that taken or picked up from Iron Mountain and sent over to our new storage facility. So I think we're 2 to 3 months getting some of this stuff out of the way, that we'll start realizing some much needed income in our operating account. Any other questions regarding anything I just said? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next topic. And that is going to be our systems liaison report, and that's going to be Jan.
They haven't had a meeting the last days. Oh, what was the gentleman's name? With the penetration project that we discussed. And we did do a report to the group on that. The IT group is working to develop the staging areas and the testing areas so that they can begin to put some things together. So they're still working on that. It's a very knowledgeable team. They have lots of resources in the IT. They're trying to work to find some solutions to make the portal better. And, you know, you can always listen in. I'm going to just, since we have some new people, you can join. Kala can join you to the groups, and you can read when the meetings are and join them. And that would give you a lot of detailed information on a regular basis. Their biggest project they just did was releasing into the portal and making the membership notice work. And Heidi was very happy that didn't cause any issues. And they are working on a couple other projects to try to fix a few things that might make it work. And so they're moving forward. I believe that's everything. She does do a detailed report after every meeting. And so that was available to you guys a couple weeks ago. And she also reports to the members. Thanks.
Thank you, Jan. Is there any comments for the IT report?
This is Ann. I just want to comment that because I do follow, and once again, they're doing an amazing job. They are on top of things. I mean, there was something this week where there was an issue with the portal, and literally like that day, Heidi and Mark like had it fixed, and he figured it out, and they have been working to get the membership notification renewals fixed. And I just can't say how pleased I am and how happy I am that they are doing an amazing job. And I think they are an asset to ASCA and can only help us in the future. Can't say enough about them. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ann. I agree. Any other comments for Jan? Okay, I would just, Jan, you kind of cut out for a little bit, at least on my end. The gentleman's name for silent sector for the penetration test is Zach Fuller. He has offered to help ASCA with our security of our ASCA system. They are not going to charge ASCA for this project, but they are going to use our site as a training tool for his employees. So this is going to be a good opportunity to kind of barter this out. We have, and we will not start this project until Claire Thomas gives us a 100% heads up that we have a complete copy of this ASCA system backed up. So I think we're close to that, but we will not do anything until Claire gives us the okay that we're good to start on that. But I'm excited to see, well, I'm excited and I'm fearful to see what's going to come out of this project. So they are not setting any kind of time limit on this because it is at a no charge to ASCA. They will be doing this during their downtime or between other projects they have. But I am excited to hear what comes out of it. But I know Jan had cut out a little bit, and I just wanted to make sure that the board and the membership knows that we're serious about our system. We want to make sure there's no security breaches, and Zach and his team are going to work to get us that information. So next on the agenda is European Liaison. I asked Calla to put this on the discussion, and we had a nice email from a lady over in not just a lady, but an ASCA member over in Germany who has volunteered her time to be in a European liaison. We know that there is a language barrier between our European members and everything that goes on over here. She has offered to help out with that. It's a single point of contact, which I really like, versus having somebody reach out to their particular program, because we have a lot of different irons in the fire. This is a single contact, and this is nothing that we have made any kind of plans to do, but I thought it was worth the discussion from the board and to get input and to see if this is something that we really want to follow up with. So with that being said, I'm going to go around and let the directors comment and what they feel about this ideal. Ann?
Yes, so we had that offer from the member for various different things, and then there were also suggestions on who this person would be. And my thought was that yes, I'm absolutely 100%. I think it's a great idea. I think having a European liaison to be like the point person for ASCA issues in Europe and to disperse that information to the European affiliate clubs in possibly multiple other languages would be, I think it's a great idea. I think it needs to happen. I think the way to do it is to take applications the way we take committee applications, and to come up with an application for the European liaison and put it out there, have people submit it, have people make recommendations, people in Europe make recommendations for a person, and do it that way. But I'm all for having a person in this position to be a point person for the European membership, and my suggestion is to have an application / recommendation process to fill that position. That's my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you, Ann. Carol?
So I also like the idea that it's a single point of contact. I think it's a great idea, and it would be a great service to our European members. I like the idea of having an application process. I think it would give us a chance to really review who applies. One of the considerations I think we need to keep in mind is that what responsibilities is the person going to have that takes this position, and what's our checks and balances for the decisions they make. So I do think it's a great idea, and I am really excited to have this process start and develop that position. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Donna?
Yes, I think it's a great idea. I would very much be in favor of it. Obviously there's a lot of details to work out, and we would want to clarify the position and what the expectations would be. But as you mentioned, just the communication barrier, I think it would be huge, and I think it would help our European membership tremendously. So I would very much be in favor of it.
Thank you, Donna. Denise?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that's been said, and I think it's a great opportunity to help boost that European confidence, that they are equally important members as anybody else. So let's just go for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Denise. Jan? Jan? Jan, did we lose you? Okay, we'll skip Jan and Jody.
I agree with everybody else. I don't really have anything to add. I think it's a great idea. We just need to work on the details and the implementation and how the information is disseminated. That's all.
Thank you, Jody. Liz?
Yes, I don't have much more to add either. I agree with what everything that has been said so far. I think this is a good idea, and we just have to work out the details on it. So yeah, I'm for it.
Thank you, Liz. Susan?
I have nothing to add. I support this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Jill?
I don't really have a lot to add except for, I guess I'm a little concerned that somebody is offering to do it, and I just don't want there to be any bad blood. I mean, I understand all the policies and procedures, whatnot, but I am a little bit concerned that if somebody is offering to do it, we may want to largely consider that person since they're taking the step forward, and I would just hate to circumvent whomever that is. I don't know who the individual is, but that's just my thought. But identifying the term, as I guess you're all saying the details, if it's something that somebody can do on rotation, that would be potentially advantageous to have different people in that role over time.
Thank you, Jill. Linda?
I don't have anything to add. I think it's something that's needed.
Okay, thank you. I agree. I think this would be a great opportunity. And if we have somebody over there that would like to head this up, I think it would be great for ASCA and especially for our European members. Anne, and you can say no, but would you be willing to kind of start putting some applications and words to paper and maybe developing a process for the board to consider? And
Yeah, how did I know you would ask that? I was thinking about that in my head. Yeah, and I absolutely agree with what Jill said about the person like totally volunteering. She volunteered, I think, and she can go back and find it, but this is here nor there, a little more than maybe I think I would agree the board is comfortable with. But yes, absolutely. I was already thinking in my head of things in terms of an application, a process for getting this done, obviously sending it to the person who volunteered first, but making it public and see if anyone else came in. So yeah, I will start thinking about that.
okay, thank you, Anne. I felt like that you might be the best person for this, so I appreciate you accepting this, and we can get moving on helping our European members. I think this would be a great start. We'll move on to the next item. And Donna, this is yours, Foreign Registry.
Yes, so as everybody knows, things are kind of a little bit in turmoil at the office right now. Mike and Rick and I and Susan and Bill got to spend some time together out there, and it was great. We got to kind of talk to everybody. We got to talk a lot together. Susan is working very hard right now and kind of making some changes, doing a little bit of restructuring of the workload in the office. And one of the things that came up was the foreign registry research, and it is extremely time consuming. It's something that Ray took care of, and definitely something that needs someone with knowledge, pedigree knowledge, but also it's just a very big time consuming thing. So we had talked about it, and I would like to make a motion to move the foreign registry research out of the office and have a volunteer take it over. That'll take a big workload off them, and they can focus on programs and other things that they need to be focusing on in the office.
Okay, thank you, Donna. Do we have a second for that motion?
I would second that motion. This is Denise. Donna and I talked about this previously, and I think that's really a great way to go with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion by Donna and a second by Denise to move the reviewing of foreign registry applications out of the ASCA business office and moving that to a volunteer position, someone with knowledge to review those applications. Is there any comments from the directors regarding this? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thank you, Donna. Our last agenda item for this evening is last month's email business. I would entertain a motion.
This is Susan. I move to approve all of June's email business.
I second. Denise.
Okay, thank you, Susan and Denise. So we have a motion by Susan to approve last month's email business. A second by Denise. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, some good discussion tonight. Thank you to all of our directors, our incoming directors. Thank you guys for participating. This will conclude the open session of the July Board of Directors meeting. Wish everybody a great rest of your week, and we'll be back in touch next month. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.